The Kissing Booth. Chapter 5. Lunch trays clattered down all around me, and I looked up to find a swarm of girls, both juniors and seniors, clustering. "So," Jamie said chirpily, sitting down opposite me with a huge grin. "Tell us everything." "About what?" I frowned in confusion, setting my fork down on the side of my plate of salad. "About Flynn, of course," Olivia squealed, leaning in to hear better. "We want to know everything. Are you guys, like, together or something?" I scoffed. "God, no." "But you call him Noah," one of the other girls said, and I looked over to see Tamara, who'd dropped her voice to whisper his name, like she was scared he'd hear her. "You don't call him Flynn." I shrugged. "I've always done that, though. He was always there when I was growing up. He even told me I was like his little sister this morning. He's just a good guy." "A good guy who always gets in fights?" Georgia raised a skeptical eyebrow. "Please. He's protective of you. He always has been." My eyes narrowed, and I felt my forehead crease again. "What do you mean, he's always been protective of me?" The girls all looked at each other. Then, finally, Faith said, "You mean you didn't know?" "Obviously not," I exclaimed, getting more and more frustrated by the second. "What don't I know?" "Flynn's always told guys to back off of you," Olivia told me confidentially. "Told them if they ever did anything to hurt you, they'd be sorry." I blinked a couple of times, staring at her, and then burst out laughing. "You were joking, right?" The girls looked at each other again, and I sombered up. "Oh, come on," I said. "Look, she's just acting like the protective big brother, all right? That's all it is." They looked at each other doubtfully again. Jamie finally said, "Well, if you are totally sure, 110%. Ask Lee if you don't believe me." "Speaking of, where is your other half?" Tamara asked. "He's in woodwork," I said. "He wanted to get a head start on our banner. I, on the other hand, wanted some lunch." "Fair enough," Candace said. "Hey, did you get Flynn to do the booth?" "He won't. I tried. Believe me, I tried." They all sighed. "I wish he would. I'd pay good money for that booth," Georgia said, making us all laugh. "Did he say why he won't?" Karen asked. I shrugged. "Not really." "Hey," said Lily suddenly, a gleam in her eyes as she looked from Karen to Dana and Samantha. "Maybe Flynn will come to the booth if he's not going to be a part of it." They all immediately squealed in excitement. Not that I blamed them. "Oh my God, Elle, if you can't persuade him to work the booth, at least persuade him to stop by." I wavered. "I can't make any promises." "But you'll try," Dana persisted. I heard my cell phone bleep and went to check my pockets before I realized that I had no pockets in this damn skirt. I sighed to myself before reaching down for my bag and rummaging for my cell phone. "Come by woodwork. Need some help. Read the text." I put my phone back and stood up, picking up my lunch tray. "I have to go help Lee. I'm guessing he needs a girl's touch." They laughed and said their goodbyes. "Oh, Elle?" I turned back. "Yeah?" "Ask him," Samantha told me with a pointed look. I chuckled and nodded at her, making them all squeal, then shook my head to myself. "And okay, Admittedly, I wasn't an awful lot better, really. But still, I was over my crush. Completely so, since he'd told me I was just a sister to him. But that didn't mean he was any less attractive. When I got to work, Lee was tapping a pencil really impatiently against a big plank of wood. After just 10 seconds, it was already driving me mad. I didn't blame Mr. Preston for leaving Lee for the piece of his office in the back. "Hey," I said, but Lee didn't notice me until I was right in front of him. I dropped my bag loudly, making him start. "Oh, I didn't hear you come in," he said. "Oh, so I see. So what did you need me for?" He gestured at the board in front of him. "How big should I make the letters?" I sighed, then fluffed my hair out before pulling it back and twisting it into a ponytail. "All right, big boy. Give me the pencil." I sketched out the letters for a kissing booth on the huge plank of wood. "But they are not totally even. That O is way narrower than that one, and the H is half the height of that S. I know that, but you can go back over them and measure the lines properly. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect, with what I've got in mind. Pray, tell." I bit my lip, trying to find the right words to describe the image I had in my mind. It wasn't easy. "Well, we've got the big main board of the booth, and we'll nail on the letters at odd angles so they overlap and all point different ways, because that'll look cooler than just having flat-out kissing booth. Does that make sense?" Lee nodded, looking at the plank. I could practically hear him piecing together my idea in his mind. "I see what you mean. It'll look cool." "I know," I told him. He started drawing the lines out thicker, measuring them all straight and perfect. I sat down on the bench facing him, swinging my legs. "Hey," I said, "did you know that your brother has been warning guys to stay away from me?" Lee didn't even look up and merely shrugged. "Yeah, everybody knows." "Except for me? How did I not know that? Why didn't you tell me? More to the point." "I don't know. I figured you'd worked it out over the years. Why do you think guys have never asked you out on a date?" I thought about that for a moment. To be honest, I had never really wondered. I hadn't panicked that there was something wrong with me just because I didn't have a boyfriend. I just kind of taken it in my stride that maybe I was more one of the guys from hanging out with Lee. So guys didn't see me as a girl they'd ask on dates. "You know, you were the only one for me, Lee," I teased. He looked up and winked at me, so I blew him a kiss back. We both laughed, and he went back to drawing out the letters properly. "Seriously, though, you only just heard about it?" "Yeah. A bunch of the girls told me, since they wanted all the gossip from this morning. Not that there was any gossip. I told them Noah just thinks of me like a sister. He's just taken the overprotective brother role to the extreme," Lee agreed. "Though, of course, I would have done the same. Especially after the way those guys were with you this morning." The pencil snapped in his hand. "Geez, calm down," I said quietly. Lee tossed the pencil halves aside and pulled another from behind his ear. "Sorry. They just really got to me this morning. No kidding. Yeah, well, whatever. The point is, Noah's totally right to tell guys to keep away from you. You are so trusting. You'd get hurt real easy. What? I said, indignantly. How am I? Too trusting. Lee shrugged again. You're just too nice sometimes, Shelley. Not in a bad way. I just mean that, well, you know, you are more likely to fall for some jerk who'll hurt you. Oh, I said. I see. I'm just looking out for you. So is Noah. Well, thanks, I guess. You are welcome, I guess, he mocked, laughing. I launched a rubber band at his arm from the tabletop beside me. He swatted it off and carried on working while I watched and chatted to him. I was still wondering why Noah had gone so far as to warn guys off me, because I realized it was unbelievably unfair. I'd be 17 in just 2 months. I'd never been kissed, never had a boyfriend, never been on a date. It was just so inconsiderate of Noah. How dare he interfere in my life like that? Sure, it was nice of him to look out for me, but he didn't have to stop guys dating me altogether. When I asked Lee exactly what Noah had done to scare guys away, he said, he told the guys that if they ever did anything to hurt you, they'd have him to deal with. I sighed to myself. It seemed clear that Noah just saw me as a vulnerable, too trusting little sister, but I couldn't help wishing he'd had different reasons for doing it.